Spyro the gosh darn dragon. Few PlayStation games are as iconic as our little purple dragon with Attitudez. Heck, some would say Spyro once ranked up there with Mario and other big game guys. He's honestly so well known and beloved that he needs no introduction. So I'm not gonna do one.
Hey! Yeah!
What, I have to do an intro? Okay, fine, I guess. Good old STD came out in 1998. Oh, wait. Oh, no. Good old Spyro the Dragon came out in 1998 here in North America, and I actually remember quite well all the demos and promotions. Specifically, there were a number of TV commercials depicting a disgruntled sheep protesting Spyro's game because he flamed and burned him and his family.
Boycott Spyro! Boycott Spyro!
Sure, he looks like an innocent dragon,
But he breathes fire.
he's napalm on 4 scary legs, and he headbutts.
Just look what he did to me! What?
Barbecue.
Ow! Would you cut it out, Slim?
Which is a valid protest, I think. This game is actually one I owned as a kid, and I played the first 3 Spyro games a ton. But today we're talking about the original, so let's fly on into Spyro the Dragon. Okay, now play the theme song. Yes, now, what do you think I mean?
From your blade.
Spyro the Dragon opens up with an entertainingly silly cutscene depicting a TV news crew interviewing the dragons.
Okay, rolling.
Oh, it's been peaceful here in the 5 worlds, or is it 6? For a dragon's age. We now have 12,000 treasure, or is it 14,000?
Asking them about their treasure, as well as the evil Gnasty Gnorc.
What about this Gnasty Gnorc character? Now, I understand he's found a magic spell to turn gems into warriors for his cause.
I'll take that question. Nasty Gnorc is a simple creature.
Simple!
He has been contained in a remote world and is no threat to the Dragon Kingdom. No threat! Besides, he is ugly. Ugly? That does
During the interview, one of the dragons insults Nasty Gnorc, and he responds by turning all the dragons into crystal statues and stealing all of their treasure. Spyro manages to dodge the crystal spell by being too short, so it's up to our spunky little boy to save everyone. And this brings us to the gameplay. We get a chance to freely roam around in the home of the dragons. Admittedly, this game shows its age a little bit. The controls can feel a little bit rigid. Spyro doesn't change directions very quickly or smoothly. It also doesn't have DualShock support, so the camera is controlled with the L2 and R2 shoulder buttons. As well, you can freely look around with triangle, which can be a little wonky and inconvenient. Now, before you type up your angry comments, "Oh, how dare you say this game sucks, it's a classic!" I'm not saying it's a bad game. I'm simply saying that controls in video games have come a very long way, and these are controls from a different era. You can criticize parts of something and still love it as a whole. Not to mention, you get used to these controls pretty quickly, and for the most part the game is well designed around them. It's still very fun to play. Spyro has a flame attack and a ramming attack, and you'll need both, as some enemies can only be damaged with one or the other. Also, anyone who's played this game knows that the ramming attack is absolutely the best way to get around. There's just no question about that. Spyro can also glide to get to faraway platforms, and this is something you're really gonna need to master some of the more challenging levels in platforming. While gliding, you can also hold down on the D-pad to make Spyro do this adorable little flutter thing that helps you slowly fall to navigate some of the more tricky platforms. Oh yeah, and there's this weird roll thing with L1 and R1 that I completely forgot about until I started recording gameplay, and doesn't seem to have much use besides being kinda silly and fun. So gameplay-wise, Spyro is more or less a collectathon from way back before that was a term anyone used.
Back in my day, we just called them platformers.
You need to rescue the dragons trapped in Crystal by the really miffed Nasty Nort.
And it will soon belong to me. Spyro!
Nasty Nork.
Thimble!
And collect all their treasure, a massive hoard of jewels. Now that I'm older, I actually really love that they worked in dragons hoarding treasure, which is a common thing from many dragon mythologies. It's a pretty neato little tidbit. So we walk forward from the start and rescue the first crystal-trapped dragon, and he gives us a bit of story.
Thank you for releasing me, Spyro. Breed 10 dragons in the artisan world. Then find the balloonist. He'll transport you to the next world.
What about Nasty Nork? I'm going after him.
Find dragons first. That's all I can tell you.
Every time you rescue a dragon, you get a little cutscene, often of the dragon telling you useful info about the area, enemies, or new mechanics a level might introduce. But also, often you rescue a dragon and just get, "Thank you for releasing me."
Thank you for releasing me.
No prob, I guess. Also, there's this one dragon who, lays on his side in an almost seductive pose, paint me like one of your bad dragons. Interestingly enough, the majority of the dragons are voiced by Clancy Brown, who I know best as the Kurgan from Highlander.
Thank you for releasing me. I have something to say. It's better to burn out than to fade away.
It's one of my favorite movies. Y'all probably know him best as Mr. Krabs.
Oh yeah, Mr. Krabs.
He's actually in a lot of things, and I would probably say he's up there for one of my favorite voice actors. And I just, really love Highlander.
Mom!
Spyro goes to different worlds, and within those worlds we find different stages, most of which have some kind of theme. They're really imaginative, full of creative enemies with interesting gimmicks, and require different ways to take them down. For example, some enemies have armor and they can't be flamed, or others are too big to be rammed, and others are these thuggin' demon frogs with their fruit by the foot tongues that'll mess you up in a second. There's even sometimes extra special enemies, like these magic guys who can't be hurt until you shrink them with this magic cannon later in the level. Some levels also involve a supercharge ramp that makes you go extra fast and makes your charge more powerful, basically making you invincible. There's also a super flame power-up you get from a fairy smooch. Mwah. Now, I hadn't played this game since childhood, honestly, and when I started playing it to record gameplay, during the early levels, I found myself often thinking, I don't remember this game being so easy. There's almost no challenge, and for about half the game, it's a little bit like that, but it does actually have a nice difficulty curve. The later levels especially get pretty challenging, a lot of which involve very precise jumps and using various mechanics from past levels, often jacked up in difficulty and combined together. I mean, I'm a gamer master, and even I struggle with some of these still. Honestly, this game really ramps up in difficulty nicely by the end, giving a decent challenge to even experienced players. Thank you. Pun not intended initially, but definitely realized and left in intentionally. There's also so many little details about Spyro that make this game very charming. For example, Spyro's life meter is measured by your dragonfly buddy Sparks' color. He goes from glowing gold to sparkling blue and plain green and then gone. You can refill your Sparks meter via butterflies by destroying small animals, including the previous mentioned sheep. Weirdly enough, when you have no Sparks and kill one of these small animals, Sparks come back. Sparks come back. Sparks comes back. Does this mean you get a new dragonfly friend and just say it's Sparks? Or is the previous Sparks being resurrected in some dark sacrifice? Also, Sparks chases after the butterflies, which is a real cute little detail, but it really adds some life and charm. It would be neglectful if I didn't mention the soundtrack. From what I gather, the soundtrack is pretty beloved among fans, often well praised, and not to get too controversial or anything, I don't really love it. I mean, I don't hate it either, it just doesn't do much for me. It's not really my thing. It's not bad, it doesn't ruin the game for me, it's nothing I would put on an MP3 player and listen to. But who has MP3 players anymore? What are you talking about, Natalie? Interestingly enough, the music was produced and composed by Stuart Copeland, who also did the music for The Amanda Show. And the theme from the level Wizard's Peak was even used as the theme song for The Amanda Show. Also interesting is that most of the Spyro games at this time usually had some sort of secret Crash Bandicoot demo accessible via secret code from the main menu, and the Crash games also usually had a Spyro demo. They weren't developed by the same company at all, but both were produced by Sony, and I've heard that they may have been developed in the same building at the same time, and often even worked across the hall from each other. Much later, there were a pair of games called Spyro Orange and Crash Purple, which were a crossover where they fought each other's villains, but at that point, they were being made by the same developer. Even though I owned most of the games that were demoed, I appreciated the demos a lot as a kid, especially considering you had to read the manual to learn about them. I always loved reading manuals as a kid. Heck, I still do now. But even though I read the manuals, there's one weird thing that I didn't even notice until I started recording gameplay for this video, and even then, a friend had to point it out to me. In the back of the manual, there's a large dragon with an amulet that seems to be an older Spyro. I mean, it can be hard to notice, but look, he's got the same color scheme and a lot of the same little details. A number of the dragons you rescue mention stuff about Spyro having some kind of great grand destiny. Now, nothing like this shows up in the sequels, as far as I've played anyway. But maybe the early developers had some ideas for the future of the character, including him growing old and a beard and earning some sort of medal, maybe in the Dragon Olympics. But what I do know is that the original Spyro the Dragon is a classic, and it certainly seems to be beloved, as it's getting the same treatment as the Crash Bandicoot N. Sane trilogy with the Spyro Reignited trilogy. And I'm really excited about that, honestly. Hopefully I'll have money when that comes out. Now if only Tomba could get a gosh dang remake! The Pig trilogy! Wait, there's only 2 games. The Pink Game... the pig game. Two pig game. Just give Tomba some dang love, please.
Okay, that is enough about Tomba.
It will never be enough about Tomba.
Come on, let's go for a nap.
I don't like naps.
Hey, do you want a juice box?
Yeah, I want a juice box. Can you help me with the straw?
I don't have hands or even arms, but I'll see what I can do.
Okay. I really like Tomba, though.
I know.
Okay. Well, thank you for watching, everyone. Big thank you to my top Patreon supporters, Verite Elmore and Darrell Henry. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Store's closed. Not for me, pal. You might say I'm Spyro's hot co-star. I love that little dragon. The way he blows fire at chicks like me. This is an official protest. I am an anti-Spyro activist.
Genghis, come.
What'd you say?